Willow Creek Springs presents Healthy Living with your host, Joe Grumbine.
Well, hello and welcome back to the Healthy Living Podcast. I'm your host, Joe Grumbine, and I'm excited. Today we have back in the studio Dr. Robert Hoffman.
Here I am.
Robert, welcome back. It's always great to have you here.
Thank you, Joe.
It seems
Great
like
to be here.
Seems like it's been a long time since we've done a show, and so much happens. You live in a really fast-paced world, and my world, it's like a roller coaster. I never know what's coming my way, but a lot of water keeps rolling under the bridge. It's all good stuff, though, right?
You bet.
So
You bet.
I had a doctor appointment with a new doctor today, and Dr. Song had ordered an MRI, which I brought over to you. You saw the results, and
I sure did.
Seemed pretty favorable. And
I would say very favorable.
Yeah. And the thing that's funny about all these scans are that they don't all know what they're looking at. They tell certain things. They say, oh, well, you have a mass, or you have some activity, or this is solid, or this is liquid, or, there's something happening here. But they really don't tell you definitively what's happening, right? I mean, they have to be interpreted. And so generally what happens is you'll get a disc or some kind of a file where you can see the actual scan. And if you know what you're looking at, it's kind of cool. But if you don't, it looks like blobs of things, lights.
Even if you know what you're looking at, every piece of information, whether it's a scan or a test, has a limit.
Right, exactly. And I think maybe one of the most important limits is the size. Like, it can only see a thing if it's big enough to be seen. And, cancer starts out as a single cell.
One cell.
And one cell turns into two, turns into four, and before you know it, you got 400,000.
Or a few billion.
Or a few billion, exactly. And that happens a lot faster than you can imagine. Cancer cells are by their nature fast replicating. That's part of their genetic makeup, is to grow fast.
And some of them are not so fast, but they just keep doing it. So
right.
Or they're not so fast and they don't keep doing it, but they spread. There's a whole lot of ways for the cancer to hurt you.
Right. And it's all designed for the cancer to live. And it's really just a side effect of the cancer living, is that it eats you up.
Well, the cancer is a parasite.
Right. Exactly.
It used to be you.
Right.
And then it kind of, it isn't you anymore, kind of. It's semi-you, and then it becomes a parasite.
Right.
It's living off you.
Yeah.
And it's so stupid, it doesn't know when to stop.
Exactly. It keeps going until it kills you, and it kills itself as well.
Well, sometimes you can't live long enough for the cancer to kill you, but it sure all happens too much.
Exactly. So that's really one of my biggest problems with all these scans, is that, cancer starts out so small that nothing can see it. And, there's more and more tests coming out, blood tests and different types of tests that recognize anomalies and things that are likely to be cancer. I think there's likely a combination of things that's always your best bet. But they don't tell you that. The doctors don't tell you.
Well, they don't think in that direction very well.
Yeah.
You need a lot of tests. You need a lot of, including multiple types of scans, to really know what's going on.
Right.
And you just go and get them.
And, everything seems to be a double-edged sword, because, like, some of the scans are, radioactive, so they're injecting.
It's not enough, Joe.
Yeah.
You go up to 30,000 feet in a plane, you probably get more.
Okay. All right.
And
like
you
to
know,
hear that.
a little bit of radioactivity uh is probably an immunostimulant. So,
Okay.
excuse me, just for 2 seconds, please.
Yeah, no problem. So,
Now, I wouldn't necessarily say the same about having 40 sessions of radiation.
right. Agreed.
Uh,
Agreed. We know that's gotta,
that's a different story.
right.
Um, but I don't worry about the scans. I don't worry about the contrast agents. I want good info.
Okay.
But
I like that.
you're probably gonna get soon, or as soon as you want, the ultimate cancer scan, a MetPet
Right. Right.
in Japan.
Well, that's where I'm headed. So, Dr.
So
Song,
tell me what the doctor said, the ENT doc said about this current scan.
yeah. So it was really kind of neat. This is a new clinic. The clinic that I went to, they've got multiple branches. This is a brand new branch that was just opened up, I guess. And this is a doctor I've never seen before. But it was through the same clinic where the guy that did my biopsy back in October of last year did it. So they had all my records. Um, I got the MRI and went back there and got a disc and brought it in along with the report. And it was interesting because when I first checked in, the nurse comes in and goes over your paperwork and asks questions. And I came in with this whole stack of information and a disc, and she starts asking me questions, and I'm like, boom, 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 boom. I got all the answers and then more. And she's like, whoa, you don't need me here. She goes, you're completely prepared. Doctor's going to be real happy to talk to you. Like they're not used to people walking in having an idea of what they're doing, and that becomes more and more apparent to me as I walk in. With I don't want to waste this doctor's time. I don't know how much time I'm going to get, so I want to have everything he might need so that I can get the most out of the experience. So he shows up, and I had to kind of tell him the whole story because he didn't know me, and all he had was my records from, the biopsy.
Which he
So,
didn't probably read.
well, I think he did actually. I like this
Uh,
guy. I like
okay,
this guy. Yeah. I'm actually pretty impressed. So
good.
the first thing I did, he's also an Asian guy. I don't know what denomination, but
What's his name? And I'll tell you.
Sun is his last name.
Fong?
Sun, Sun.
Hi, this is Joe Grumbine, and I wanted to share an update. The platform that hosts this podcast has made some changes to the subscriber settings, and we have a number of subscriber-only episodes that we offer to the supporters, and for a minimum of $3 a month, we can get you signed up. And if you're already signed up and you're having some kind of trouble locating these episodes in the other platforms, I would say maybe the best answer is to unsubscribe and then resubscribe. I'm sorry for the hassle. I don't have any way to make a change, but I'm very grateful for all the support. Thank you.
So, wow, that's a hard one. It could be a Chinese or a Korean.
That's
Um,
it. I was thinking one of the two. He's kind of tall.
it's definitely one of the two. It's not Japanese.
Yeah, no.
Sung with a U.
Yeah,
Um,
like Sun. Yeah.
yeah, maybe Korean.
All
I
right.
give it 60% Korean, 40% Chinese.
All right. Well, I am okay with either one of those. The thing that I liked about him was he was probably a little bit younger than me, but very attentive. First thing I did is I showed him a picture. I said, "This was me in April." And he looked back, he's like, "Whoa." And then he looked at me. He's like, "What side was that on?" I says, "You got to ask." I said, "That's good. I like that." And so I pointed right to where it was at, and he's looking at that, and he's looking at the picture, and then he read the report of the scan, and I told him, sort of the history of what had happened, where I went to UCI, and then that we proposed the neoadjuvant chemo solution. I told him the 3 drugs. I told him that it shrunk it down and they wouldn't go further. They wanted to hit me with the radiation. When I said that, he kind of crinkled his eyes a little bit, like, really? Like, why would, But then he goes, well, that's their standard. They goes, that's the box that they operate in.
Yes, at least that's their guideline.
Right. And he understood why they would be the way they were, but he didn't necessarily agree with it. So an ENT is kind of an interesting doctor because he's not just a cancer doctor. He does ear, nose, and throat, all different
He sees a lot of head and neck cancer, my guess.
Sure. Oh, absolutely. But he's not exclusive. So he's not stuck in that standard of care bubble because he does all sorts
He's not
of
stuck in the guideline.
Right. Absolutely. So I tell him about Dr. Song. And
So you tell Dr. Song about Dr. Song.
I did. I told Dr. Song about Dr. Song. And
but after you sing your song,
But he was very impressed with Dr. Song. He says, "Wow, that's a pretty incredible doctor." I says, "Yeah."
This is the first time he heard about him?
Yes, yeah. He didn't, and I told him he's a 80-year-old doctor working out of San Diego. I told him he was actually one of the doctors that discovered one of the drugs I was taking. So he was like, okay, this guy's really, got his chops. And he was impressed with his willingness to work outside of the standard of care guidelines, and that he just said, I'm really impressed with this doctor. And so I said, okay, well, I like that. I go, I am too. And so now we're getting, through this. And he says, well, after he looked at the reports, he went and, he felt my neck, and then he did take that camera and he ran it down my nose. And he said it was clear. He said, yeah, he's like, there's nothing there. And he said, look, based on what I'm seeing and what I feel, he says, I can feel the mass that's there, but he said, your body just absorbed this giant thing. He goes, it's not done yet. He goes, it's likely to be necrotic tissue or scar tissue or both. And he says, you could be done right now. And I said, I know, but this is the critical part, is we got to know. Because if I'm not done, I can't let it sit there and grow.
Well, Joe, you know how we think. We think you're never done.
Right. Well, I talked to him about my course of treatment. I talked about you. I talked about my diet. I talked about and what he said was, well, he said the first thing I would do is just get a CT scan. I told him about the MetPed in Japan, and he didn't know about it, but he listened. And I told him about it. I told him about the radioactive methionine. I told him about how there is one here in the States, but they only use it for the brain, and they don't have a whole body version of it. And I said, and he's listening to me. He's like, okay. He wasn't disagreeing with anything I had to say. He says, I don't know about methionine and this reaction, but I'm listening. And he said, that's seems to be a good solution, but that's a long trip and it's a big thing. And he says, why don't we just order a CT scan here?
I think so, Joe. There's nothing to lose by having a CT scan. and he's willing to order it, I would go for it.
Well, exactly. And I go, my insurance will cover it, and whatever,
Yeah.
little bit I got to pay.
We'll get a little bit more information. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just good. And it's great that he's ordering it from you. You got the MRI. A
Right.
lot of guys might have said that's enough already.
Right. Well, and he said, he's listening to me. He says, you really did your work. He goes, I'm impressed with, how you're thinking, how you're acting, you're taking control of your own health. And I says, well, yeah, I want to live, and I don't know that would happen if I just listened to the first doctor that was directing me. And
Oh, God forbid.
well, exactly. And so
the first doctor wanted to do radiation right away.
The first doctor wanted to operate and then do
radiation. Yeah, that one.
Yeah. And well, anyways, so then he goes, okay, well, where my point of view, you came to me for a consultation to see what I have to say. He goes, from my point of view, there's two ways forward after the CT scan. So if we do the CT scan and we see nothing, well, then you're probably good for now.
Well, we can't assume that, but what's I mean,
that was his point of view.
Yeah.
He says, if we see something,
sorry,
and there's two approaches. He says, one approach is I can do a needle biopsy, and we can try to get that where the spot is. But he agreed with me that that's really a weak approach. I said, it can likely cause problems if it does hit something, number one, and it's liable to not hit where it is and give us a false negative. So either way, I don't know that I like that idea. He says,
no, I don't either.
Yeah. He says the other way is we can go in and open it up and do a test while it's open and know for positive if it's got cancer or not. If it does have cancer, we can remove the whole thing and go from there.
Well, Joe, that no matter how much they say they can remove the whole thing, they can't.
That's what I told him.
And
that's exactly what I told him.
And the residual cancer there's a big risk that surgery will stimulate it.
I agree. That's what I told him.
If CT shows something, we're going to go. We're not going to do anything, my recommendation, until we go to Japan and get a med pet.
Agreed.
Then we sit down. We sit down with Dr. Sato and Dr. Song and see what we're going to do.
I agree. I'm right there with you. I listened to him, and I thought that from his point of view as a surgeon and as a guy who that's what he does, I think he gave me what he thought was the very best.
I think he did too.
Solution. And I agreed that, based on what we're talking about, I liked his thinking, and we kind of parted ways. I don't really have another course of action with him until after.
Well, you're gonna take his prescribed CT scan, right?
Well, no, I'm going to Dr. Song with his recommendation, and Dr. Song's going to order the CT.
Okay, so Dr. Song sent you to that guy. The guy said, "Let's do a CT." So I'm sure Dr. Song will order it.
Exactly, and Dr. Song has already alluded that was possibly going to be his next course of action, anyways.
Yeah.
So that's that. Dr. Song just wanted to hear if he wanted to go in and do a biopsy, or he was going to think to
Well, he's also going to want to hear he put the camera up your nose and found nothing.
Yes. And not only that, but that Dr. Sun said he was very, very, very happy and impressed with my results when I told him
he should be
about the drugs that I took, the chemo drugs and the diet and all the things, and looking at my picture, looking at the biopsy report and looking at me now, he was like, whoa, he said, what he said was, the problem with you is that we don't have any case studies that reflect what you did, because people.
Well, you shouldn't. I think maybe you can send them your paper. Here's
I'm
the
going
case study.
to. I am going to. But you know, he doesn't have a guideline that's come of that yet. But I'm
Right.
definitely,
It's out of his
yeah,
world. It's out of his universe.
exactly. And that was really what he said. He was like, you know, you took matters into your hands and you did what you needed to do and you got the results you were looking for. And you know, I think that's really an important message to all the listeners here is, you know, when I walked in there and they were like surprised that I was prepared, I think to myself, well, how would you go into a doctor and not be prepared? But then I think back to a year and a half ago when I first went to a doctor and I didn't know anything about what was going on. I wasn't prepared. I didn't know. I was there to try to figure it out. And, you know, now that I've gotten some information and some guidance and some direction and some purpose. It's changed my whole dynamic. And now look at the conversation I have with the doctor, you know, so different from, you know, well, I don't know. I think I want to do this or that. And they go, well, we don't know. Here's our thing. And
Yeah,
instead,
I mean that's 99.9% of all the patients. They
well,
don't
you're right.
and they're not told to know, and they're told to just do what they're told.
I couldn't agree more. And you know, I think that's one of the big messages and in this conversation. And I did another interview with a woman yesterday, and she was a writer, and she was a romance novel writer, but she got diagnosed with breast cancer a couple of years ago, and she was talking about her experience with that. And I said, well, you know, let's walk down that road together, and I'll share with you, you know, some of the things I did. And it was interesting. Her, you know, the whole experience of getting diagnosed with cancer and then having to reckon with it, acknowledge it, decide to go and treat it, and then walk through all these different um, obstacles or opportunities, depending on where you go, because you don't even know. You spin the wheel of a doctor and you don't know who you're going to get. And, you know, hopefully you end up in a place like I did where I found my way to some good treatment, but I didn't get put there initially, and the system didn't give it to me. You know, it was through research and trial and error and meeting you and the group and you know, knocking on doors and you know, just going after it, that ultimately we found something that I think is you know, making the difference here. So we had a good conversation, and I came up, you know, she ended up going down a little different route, but when I told her about the diet and I told her about, you know, how I'm going after my long-term treatment and you know, how important just taking care of your body is in the right ways, you know, she was like, oh, I want to learn more. So I'm gonna maybe bring her
Taking
into
charge, taking charge. It's all about taking charge of your own destiny.
so much is.
You know, you let the oncologists take over. You know, you're just another one little guy in the waiting room. Next, 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 next. Um, it's and he's going to get paid whether you respond to the chemo or don't respond. He gets the same money. No incentive, and they're probably nice people, and you know they wish you well, but they're not bought into you.
No, no,
And
they don't have
I
an
would say
invested
an
interest.
exception is Dr. Song. He seems to, at least, I don't know if he buys into every patient. He certainly bought into you.
It certainly has. I couldn't agree more. I can tell when we have a conversation and when he looks at my blood work and you know, every time that we make some progress, I see him light up. I like we're winning, you know, not I'm
Yeah.
winning, but we're winning. Like
Yeah,
he's
and it's we,
yes,
not you. It's we.
yes, I agree. And I feel that, you know, when I go into him. And I got the sense that this new doctor would be like that, but he's not a doctor that would be for long-term treatment anyways. He would be a stepping stone, you know, in the program. So I feel really good. I'm looking forward to I'm going to talk to Dr. Song tomorrow and share with him all of this, and hopefully have him order that CT scan. And then I'm going to talk to Shihiro and start to do the preliminary figuring out what I need to look at and look for, to schedule this Japan trip. And I'm looking forward to it. So last week, you made a trip to Japan.
Yeah. Well, the main thing I wanted to meet with Dr. Sato, and I told him about my dream about a hospital for stage 4 cancer patients.
Yeah,
And we discussed, and he ended up saying, I'm going to build it.
I love it. I love it. And like you said before, there's no such thing. Like,
There's no such thing. The big cancer centers basically boot you out once you're stage 3. They certainly don't want you around, with some exceptions, but stage 4, go to, it's basically you come in, let's just say a medical oncology, you come in, you get first line, you fail first line, and this may take a few years. You fail second line, and then you're offered a clinical trial, and you take it, and almost all of them fail, and then you're sent to hospice.
right,
That's it. It's almost like, playing Monopoly, how you go around the board.
right.
And the state, and Dr. Sato in his book says stage 4, don't give up, and I say that too.
I right
I
there.
mean, you can't take somebody off the deathbed, but there's a heck of a lot of stage 4 that still can have a chance. Let's put it
They
that
had me
way.
at stage 4.
So Dr. Sato's clinic, it occupies 2 or 3 buildings and a
Okay,
couple of 3 floors. It's very super equipped for imaging, and
nice.
as well as therapeutic radiology. So to convert that into a hospital, basically, you can build a couple of floors or another building on the campus that has beds.
Right,
And I don't think we need a surgical suite, because stage 4 is usually not treated by surgery.
right,
It can be sent to a collaborating hospital. But the point is, the stage 4 patient can be admitted, and we can do a lot of things with them. And in Japan, the culture is, even the chemo, it would not be in the doctor's office, it would be in the hospital.
okay,
And a lot of people are hospitalized for the chemo session overnight or whatever. It's very different.
okay.
And it's all covered by national health insurance, insurance for everybody, which in this country is considered the worst thing that ever happened.
Right.
And, so,
It's the worst thing that ever happened unless you need it.
yeah, exactly. Exactly. So that was the main point. He's agreed to do it, and I'm sure he's planning it out.
That's exciting. And you've been
Create a
working with
place
Dr.
for
Sato
the
for how
stage
long?
4 patient to go and to stay,
Yes,
and not in hospice where they want to. And generally, what they do in hospice is they give you enough drugs to die,
right.
enough sedatives or narcotics or whatever. They give you the high dose of that stuff, gets you into a coma, and then you're gone in another few hours. That's the main goal of the hospice. Get you
100%.
in, drug you up, and take you out in the box.
Yeah.
It ain't
Palliative care isn't about getting you well. It's just about keeping you comfortable.
No, it's about just facilitating the dying process.
Agreed.
And it isn't, for some people, yeah, I get it. It's
Look, if you
it's
don't have
beyond
the
whatever,
will,
but I think there's I can't tell you the percentage, I don't know, but I know there's a lot of people that could be helped that are stage
exactly.
4. If
And
only people would try to help them.
agreed. And if you have somebody who wants to live and they're willing to do what it takes to live, then it makes no sense to me why we don't have a facility and
Because
the
there's no
resources.
money in it.
Right,
There's no incentive in it. The doctors are not trained to treat stage 4. They're just told, send them off to hospice.
right.
Uh, in San Diego, the McDonald's wife gave huge money for a fantastic, beautiful hospice. A nice place to spend your final couple days.
Okay.
Um, okay. Uh, that's not the way I look at things. And so I hope the stage 4 hospital, Dr. Sato's new hospital, I hope it'll be an example to the world. Uh, I doubt it'll catch on very fast, but at least among us, we've got a place.
Agreed. And that's what we're all here is looking to make change and be that change we want to see out there. And so, you just
Well,
have to get out there and do it.
you're just one person. I'm just one person.
Right.
We help out, and if it doesn't catch on, we just do it ourselves.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, I want to shed a little light again on our Sunday group, Sunday at 4 o'clock. I can't feel stronger about the importance of people sharing their experience. We've had a lot of new people poking their heads in the last few weeks, and I think it's just really important. If anybody that's listening is either been diagnosed with cancer, is recovering from cancer, knows somebody who is, um, all the
Which
details.
covers everybody in the world.
Exactly. All the details are in the show notes on the show, and you're welcome. Just click that
And
link.
it's recorded too, and everybody's gets a free recording.
Absolutely. So, and if you're interested, I'm easy to reach. I'm more than glad to give you any additional information. But this group is incredible. It's made up of people from around the world that are alive, and many of them would maybe not be alive had they not chosen some of the treatments, the diet, the things that we're doing, that we're sharing. I think there's a huge amount of hope that gets shared. There's a lot of inspiration when you see one person that's been willing to do the hard work, and here he is. He's here 4 years later after they told him he wasn't going to be, and he's out there helping other people find these answers. So, and there's dozens of people that fit that bill, and of course, Dr. Hoffman's here with his wisdom and knowledge, just guiding along and answering questions and asking a lot of questions. You ask, I think, more questions than anybody, and I think that's how we find out these answers.
Yeah, that's for sure. And the support the patients give each other on that Zoom group, it's incredible.
Well, I'm proud and pleased to be a part of it, and
Me too.
I talk about it as one of the primary features of treatment is getting a community around you and finding answers. We've had a lot of people that this group is literally scattered across the country and across the world, so it's not like we have necessarily a resource for everybody no matter where they are, but we can show you how to find what you're looking for.
That's
And
for sure.
I think that when somebody comes in and they say, well, my doctor told me this, and they are approaching it as, well, that's where I am, that there's nothing more. And almost immediately, one of our group members will, toss in an alternative solution or starts asking more questions. And the person realizes that, oh, well, maybe I need to ask this doctor to do a thing for me, or maybe I need to find another doctor, or
Yeah.
both. And, all those things are legitimate. And, again, the patient needs to be the advocate. I think that's one of
Oh boy.
the primary messages here.
Absolutely. The patient has to be in charge.
Robert, it's always a pleasure to spend time with you. You've
Joe, you're an example for the world.
well, and as are you. So we make a great team. I love working with you.
Me too.
I'm looking forward to the next step. I'm looking forward to finding out what's inside of my neck.
Well, we're going to get the CT scan,
Yep,
and I think one way or another we should plan Japan.
I think you're right. I think you're right. So, all right. Well, we will continue this saga, and I'm looking forward to talking to you again on Sunday.
Me too.
Excellent.
Me too. Thanks for having me, Joe.
Oh, it's always a pleasure.
Me too.
Well, this has been another episode of the Healthy Living Podcast. I'm your host, Joe Grumbine. I want to thank you, Dr. Hoffman, for joining us.
And I thank you for having me.
Thank the listeners for making the show possible, and we will see you next time.
We sure will.
This has been another episode of the Healthy Living Podcast. We produce this show so that people can share their stories, people that have overcome obstacles, people that are undergoing obstacles. We're building a community of health-minded individuals. If you're interested in supporting the show, please leave a review on the platform you're listening to it on. If you're interested in becoming a guest, please send an email to itsjoegrumbine@gmail.com, or you can send a note into the notes section of the podcast. All right. Well, thank you for supporting this show, and we hope you've enjoyed it.